When people around you are doing the wrong thing, it's usually a lot easier to skate on through and to follow the crowd, pretend like you don't see it or pretend like you don't care. It's a lot harder to be the one to stop and take a stand and do the right thing. There was a rule in my house growing up that we weren't allowed to go out on our bikes if our mom wasn't home. We had to ask. So one day, while my mom was out and I was banned from my bike, I noticed this group of neighborhood kids on their bikes riding around at the end of my driveway. So I, of course, go running down the driveway and was like, "What's up, guys?" And this kid, Joel, told me, "My dog Buffy broke off her chain. We're going to look for her. Are you in or are you out?" And I said, "Well, my mom's not home, so I'm not supposed to go out riding." And Joel said, "My mom's not home, so I'm not supposed to go out riding." And then I think he followed that up with like, "Whatever, Loren, if you're not in, forget you." He called me mama's girl and scaredy cat and something else, but I didn't hear him because I was up in the garage getting on my bike. And as I flew down the driveway on my bike, it felt so good to be free. But I also had a pit in my stomach and I felt bad because I knew I was skating on through. I wasn't doing the right thing. But Buffy needed me, so I was there. Now, there's good news and there's bad news in this story. I'll give you the good news first. The good news is that we found Buffy. She was 2 blocks away, we got her, no big deal. The bad news is that as I was riding home on my bike, my foot slid off my pedal, my knee hit the pavement, but this hill I was on was so steep that I kept sliding all the way down the hill with my knee getting torn up in the gravel. It was not pretty. So I end up bleeding and limping home, crying and pulling my bike. So I was busted. My mom knew I was out on my bike. And my knee hurt so bad, but almost worse than that was that look of disappointment on my mom's face when she knew what I did, that I skated through and I didn't do the right thing. And I still have the scar on this knee to remind me of the time I didn't have the guts to stop and take a stand. I skated through because I wanted to be cool. Sometimes your friends are gonna be doing the wrong thing and they're gonna want you to do the wrong thing with them. And the problem is, Jesus wants you to try to do the right thing even when nobody else is. And you might say, "I don't want to, I'm scared," or "I don't want to be the only one to stand up." But God promises, be strong and courageous. Do not tremble and be dismayed, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. God promises that if you stand up for what's right, you don't stand alone. Even if people are making fun of you and teasing you for not going along with them, if you're the only one to stand up for what's right, God says you're not alone because I stand with you. So be strong and courageous. God will give you the strength to stop and stand. And there's a great story in the Bible where Jesus goes into a temple in Jerusalem, and he goes there to be alone with God and to talk to God and to worship God. And so Jesus goes into the temple courtyard. These merchants have set up this marketplace where they can sell things to people who have traveled a long way to come to the market. Well, Jesus comes into the temple courtyard and he's there to pray and worship God. And when he gets there, he sees that those merchants are stealing and cheating and lying to people and charging them double, and they're doing it all right here in the temple, in God's house. And when Jesus realizes what they're doing, that they're lying and cheating and stealing, he gets so mad that he flips over one of their tables. And Jesus said, "My house will be a house of prayer, and you have turned it into a house of thieves." And then the Bible says that Jesus drove every single one of them out of the temple till no one was left but Jesus and his disciples. And we don't usually think of Jesus as somebody who gets so mad he starts flipping tables over. But he did that day. 'Cause he was angry and he had the strength to stand up for what was right. He didn't care what people thought of him. He knew that it was important to stand up for what's right. So he stopped and he stood up. Here's the flip. Stop and stand. Don't just skate on through and don't follow the crowd. When somebody wants you to do something that you know is wrong, stop and take a stand. When your friends start talking about somebody who's not there, stop and stand. Say, I'm not gonna talk about them behind their back. Or if you're at a sleepover and everybody puts in a movie that you know you're not supposed to be watching, stop and stand. Say, I'm not gonna watch that movie. Stop and take a stand. Be strong and courageous, knowing that your God will be with you. God promises that if you stand up for what's right, God is with you. So be strong and courageous and know that He will give you the strength, even if you're the only one to stand up for what is right. If you're gonna be serious about following Jesus, you're gonna have to flip around the way that you live. Instead of living the way you wanna live, you gotta live the way Jesus teaches. And you gotta stand up for what you believe in front of your friends. Your friends might follow you, they might not. But if you flip around the way that you live, who knows, you might just change the world.